Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fuel for Success, episode number 65 here on the 1st of April. Wow. 1st of April. It's good to have my good friend Matt with me this morning. What's that, Matt?
You know what it means that it's the 1st of April?
Yeah. It means you called me up this morning and pulled one over on me. That's what it means.
The first, yeah, I did. I got you good. I already April Fooled Mike this morning. So, the first 3 months of the new year are over. Everybody was all pumped. Everybody was all pumped on New Year's Eve. Where are they now? It's 3 months are gone. 3 full months are over, my friend, in 2014. So take a good evaluation, pull out your New Year's resolutions, and look at them. How have you done? Have you executed? Yeah, Mike.
25% gone.
Ouch. I'm not seeing, unless it's just me, I'm not seeing where it says that. Oh, I see 65 now. 25% of the year's gone, so we got 75% left. That's a good way of looking at it.
It is. It's like if I had a pie.
So that means that 65 days have already gone by this year.
65 weekdays.
Yeah, 65 weekdays. Good point. Because we've done 65
Would be.
episodes of Fuel for Success. How are you today, my friend?
Yes.
I understand you got a extremely sad situation taking place in your neighborhood right now. Can you bring us up?
Well, it is snowing. It is snowing right now. It's actually a good lesson. I went to take my daughter to school. I take her to school every morning, and right before 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock Central Time right now. So, uh, in life coaching, one of the things that we should probably do is be prepared for unexpected circumstances. And I went out this morning, and my car was covered in ice, and I'm like 17 minutes until the show starts. And I'm like, uh-oh, I did not plan on this. I knew it rained last night. I did not know it was 23 degrees outside. So I was, made it in my studio here with 4 minutes to spare because I was scraping ice.
I was panicking. I had no idea you were in the middle of an ice storm.
I don't know that I call it an ice storm, but nice April Fools from Mother Nature, as it were.
Well, it's snowing now too, right?
Yeah, it's snowing now.
I'm dealing with something a little different right now. I'm dealing with massive temptation because it's already 63 here and such a sunny day. I mean, you can hear the birds, the seagulls. I mean, it's just, I just had to go close my blinds. I just couldn't take it. I just had to pretend like it wasn't beautiful out just so I could stay focused on what I need to do today. That's kind of my strategy in life. I don't look at the marshmallows. You know what I mean?
I do.
Dude, new candles
I'm
rocking.
real nice.
Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm just showing you I got this really cool candle. It's called Under the Palms. Kind of gives the Florida vibe. Good one. I got more, but
Mm.
we'll do a candle demonstration perhaps on Family and Relationship Day. This is a good one. Red apple wreath. Boy, kind of gives you a little Christmas feel. It's like a little palm tree action, a little Christmas, a little balance.
So you have multiple different candles burning at the same time, and they're different scents.
Different sense.
That's
The only thing I gotta
sort of
say,
like taking.
the only thing I gotta say is I have a value in my life that I believe that every time that Caleb comes home, because I share parenting, I believe my house should be clean and I believe it should smell good. And last night, without me even saying anything, when he got home, he's like, Dad, he goes, man, it smells so good in here and it's so clean, right? See, I believe that impacts a kid's psychology. So I know it smells, it just flows together. I know it's unique, but it works.
It's like taking a handful of different flavored jelly beans and just eating them all at once. I'm cool with
What's your
that.
favorite color jelly bean? I'm just curious. I've never asked you that in all of our friendship. I've always wanted to
What would be
know.
your guess?
Black.
You are correct.
See there's just that's why we're best friends because I'm the type that I would automatically just hand you my black and yellow jelly beans and you would just eat them. You just eat them.
Yeah.
I can't eat yellow or black jello jelly beans. So good to see
I
everybody this morning. Oh yeah, Brittany's right. Those buttered popcorn ones are pretty good.
Yeah. Actually, my favorite flavor of the Jelly Belly are actually the margarita ones. Don't read
Margarita.
anything into that, but
I
yeah,
think
they're
that
great.
might be Carol's favorite. I'm a little taken back that it's yours. You know.
Okay, there's not actually tequila in them, okay? So just relax. It's just a flavor.
So you
Um,
too many
I love
memories.
lime.
Is that what it is? That
No, 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 no.
no no no. We're gonna call it out now. Now that you've opened it up, we're gonna call it out, my friend. So it's like you buying the cigarette that is the cigarette that you suck on that's not a cigarette but it tastes like it and it puts out smoke. Is that kind of the same thing you're doing with the jelly bellies? That you're doing the margarita to overcome an addiction so that way it helps.
No, no, not even close. Um,
Uh,
no, because there's no actual alcohol in the jelly bean, whereas there's nicotine in the e-cigs. Just a little different.
I
Um, Focus. So today's Tuesday. Just like every Tuesday, we talk about life coaching motivation. And I'm going to encourage everybody that's on the show this morning. It's good to see Jason from Australia is on here. Um, Time slot may work well for him. Lost Matt for a second. He'll be right back. But just like every Tuesday, we're going to be talking about life coaching and motivation. And please, everyone, feel free to ask questions about anything relating to this topic, or really anything, uh, any question that you have. Um, Feel free to ask it. You can either click over there and type it in the chat box, or down below, click on question and ask a question. If none of those work, you can text it to me, and we'll get it that way, or email. And we get email questions quite a bit, and sometimes we get to those. I think a lot of our viewers that don't watch live ask some questions and email them in. Love to see some of the live viewers ask questions, and that would be wonderful.
so
So
is there a reason you kicked me off the show, my friend? Was it the margarita jelly beans? I mean, let's talk.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was pretty sick of it, really.
Hey, good to see a good friend on this show. A really good friend of mine. One of the coolest guys you'll ever meet from the land of down under. Our boy Jason Voss, all the way from Australia. Just a fun guy. We've done a lot of life coaching together, and he always makes me laugh. Our life coaching sessions are on Skype, and a couple of times we've been on our life coaching sessions, and he's accidentally drinking his energy drink, and he can't. It's not like on the phone. You know what I mean? On the phone you can hide it. I'm like, hey, what you drinking there? That's like the preacher catching you drinking a beer. In my opinion, me catching someone drinking an energy drink is like you catching your kid smoking. So, not to call you out, Jason, but I love you, man. I had to do that because we laugh about that a lot. Jason's my boy. Good dude. Good dude. Good straight up dude. Jay, it's time for me to come to Australia, man. I think me and Mike need to do a Mission 25 out there. Um, Anyways, Mike, tell us what's in store for today, bub.
Well, as I was saying, while you were whatever you were doing, you were gone. Today's Tuesday, so we're going to talk about life coaching and motivation. And we've got a few questions that have come in, uh, and I encourage everyone to ask questions during the show. That's one of the advantages of being on here live, is you can ask questions and interact, and feel free, any question. We'll be happy to do our best to answer it. Got the first question that we've got, Matt, that came in. Why do you think some people have a hard time overcoming the past?
That's a good question, actually. This is something a lot of people
Hmm.
struggle with, Mike, because the reason why people struggle with overcoming their past is because of the guilt often and the regret. Because at the end of the day, most people mean well. I've learned that. Most people don't want to screw up. Most people don't want to fail. And yet, because we are human and because we're all prone to temptation, everybody has their own issues. Everybody has their. I got a funny story. Um, I was on this cruise and I'll save that story, but it's a funny story about how, there are people that may struggle in certain areas that don't struggle in other areas. And at the end of the day, all what I've learned is all human beings has weaknesses and they fail, and because one of the reasons we have a hard time overcoming the past is because we don't want to fail. We all want to do the right thing. We all want to make the right choice. We all want to, you know, be successful. And so a lot of it's our mind and the fact that God has already forgiven us, but a lot of people have never forgiven themselves. So when I teach about forgiveness, I always teach there's three parts to forgiveness. There's obtaining forgiveness from God, which is as simple as saying you're sorry. No joke. That's what I don't think a lot of people realize, that with God, all he needs is a raw, honest admission. Yes, Lord, I royally screwed up. Please forgive me. And that second that you say it, it's done. And when you're in healthy, mature relationships as well, um, the second part of forgiveness is obtaining forgiveness from others. And that's a tougher process because some people like to hold on to grudges or some people just aren't able to
Yeah.
forgive. And that's unfortunate, but that's another subject. But the third and the toughest of them all is forgiving yourself. And most people, their finances are impacted because of this. I really believe this. Their health, all of their relationships. Do you know people that if they don't love themselves, it's going to hinder their marriage? It's going to hinder how they are as a parent. Your self esteem is at the center of the determination of how your relationships are going to be. So, this guilt, this past that we all struggle with, this not being able to let go and forgive ourselves because we know better many times, Mike. Many times we know that we should have made a better decision. We know that we should not have behaved this way. And so then we're just left to deal with the regret. We get angry at ourselves. How many of y'all have ever just been mad at yourself? I know I have. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
my friends, you got to realize the consequences of holding on to your past. It will deplete your energy. It will wreck your sleep. It will destroy your flow. It'll affect your relationships. So, really, I know it sounds cliche. You really do need to let it go. You need to just accept you're never going to be perfect. I think that's a big thing, Mike. Perfectionists struggle with this the most. In fact, I'm going to go deeper into this. Extremely godly people struggle with this the most. That's why we'll all like get a call from somebody and we'll be like, man, can you believe what so and so did? And we're all like, oh my God. And we viewed them as such a godly person. But we have to understand at the end of the day, the Bible says all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And that when we hold ourselves to such high standards, and people in Pentecost tend to be this way because we do have high standards. I don't even think Jesus could live up to most of the standards that we put on people. And I'm for them. I'm just not for all of them. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother topic. But I think that also breeds into feeling like we're never good enough. We can never do it right. And this whole thing with Christianity, most people don't even enjoy Christianity, Mike, because they're so beat down with guilt because they never feel like they can live up to, because we have so much judgmental people in Christianity and in life in
Yeah.
general that would just never feel like we can get over that hump. And then, of course, a hard part of getting over your past is rebuilding credibility with people when you've totally blown it. And that's a whole nother topic. But that's my take on it. You got anything you want to throw into that, Mr. Mike?
Well, one of the things that I'd like to say, and it's sort of tangent to what you had said, is that I like what you said about you know judgmentality and people being judgmental and that sort of thing. And I personally believe, as far as setting and Britain says she holds herself to very high standards. I also hold myself to pretty high standards, and I think that it's not really possible to set the bar too high, right? But the problem comes in when we handle situations that we fall short of. So, in other words, I mean, the Bible says there's no condemnation, and God doesn't condemn us regardless. And I think that it's perfectly acceptable to set a very high standard, but that the way that we handle people who haven't met that standard, knowing that nobody's going to get there 100%, we shouldn't be condemning, we shouldn't be judgmental, that sort of thing. And that affects the way that we react. So in other words, if we look at it from a positive standpoint and say, here's a goal, it would be great if we can get here. And whether that's in our spiritual life, whether that's in our personal life or emotional life, to set an extremely high standard and say, this is my goal, this is what I'm shooting for. And in our case, as Christians, it's to be like Jesus, and that's a pretty high standard. um, and every day we try to be more like that, but we don't want to be judgmental either to ourselves or to others when they fall short of that, and understand that, look, this is a walk, it's an exercise, it's a journey. It's going to take some time to get there. You don't make it to the goal on your first 5 steps.
That's
It's
right.
like a through
Very good
hike
advice.
of the Appalachian Trail. It's going to take some time.
That's very good advice, Mike. I like that. That helps me personally. I do believe in setting high standards for yourself and shooting as high as you can. And then you know what? Develop a positive attitude about failure and about your faults and your shortcomings or your sins, meaning like, hey, it is what it is. What's done is done. There's nothing we can do about it. Not even God, as big as he is, not even God has the ability to change the past. So why waste
Right.
1 ounce of energy letting it sabotage your future? Visit the past only to learn from it. The moment you've grabbed the lesson, close it up and let it go forever. You know, that's a good one too, David Sandy. Thanks for the recommendation. It is a very good book called Failing Forward by John Maxwell.
I like what Britton said too about learning, exactly like you said, echoing what you said. Learning from the past, learning from mistakes, and moving forward. And of course, anytime that you can learn from someone else's mistake, that's like a freebie. You should do
Yeah,
that.
I learn from your flaws all the time, Mike. You know what I mean? It really helps me. If y'all knew how much
I'm here for you,
I
bro.
had, if you knew how much fun we would have, it would almost be considered wrong. We have too much fun. Sorry, I'm not boring.
Yeah,
Oops. My bad. Sorry, I'm not a stick in the mud.
it's good, Britton. Hey, so let me ask you kind of a follow-up question to that, which is, a lot of times people live with regrets from their past, and maybe they've even learned from past mistakes. What are some ways that we can minimize regrets in our life?
I honestly believe this, Mike. I honestly believe the way to minimize regrets is to make a list. You know, I'm trying to think of who said it, but I believe it was Stephen Covey talks about um, in the 7 habits of highly effective people. Mike, you can help me with it, but he talks about almost living forward. When you look forward, like for me, like the biggest thing that's haunting me is that my son's going to be 13 in 9 months. So I'm already like thinking, okay, now it's only 5 years until he's 18. So I actually literally made a list. I mentally went to his 18th birthday. I mean, it literally, like for 2 hours, I was there in my mind. I pictured everything. I pictured this huge party. I pictured all kinds of family and friends. I pictured me bumping him in the arm and, just hitting him and saying, I can't believe you're 18, punk. And I pictured, his aunt asking him about what college he decided to go to, and I pictured everything. I mean, I literally, Mike, I could weep right now. I literally went there mentally. I went there. Like I visited it. I know this sounds kind of spooky, but I visited it. And I visited the night ending. And I visited me going and sitting in my chair and just thinking, looking off outside into the stars. And I visualized what I would regret. And I literally made a list of everything that I would regret. And like now, Mike, now my whole life is driven by that list. I've got that list memorized front and back. I read it almost every day. And I mean, when I say almost, I mean literally almost. Like I rarely miss reading that list. It's so ingrained in my brain. So I think we should do the same thing. I think that one day you should sit down and visualize your funeral. Visualize the people that would be there, that would be crying. Visualize yourself laying in that casket. Visualize people seeing your obituary in the paper and say, okay, or visualize the end, like the end of your life. What will you regret? And once you determine that, then you live to minimize those. You live to avoid them. You live to say, I'm not going to do this because I'm not going to regret that. And then, like, for example, when this year is over, what are you going to regret most? So always look forward and work your way back. What's that word, Mike? I'm missing it, man. You know what I'm talking about?
Projecting?
Huh? I know it's
You're
projecting.
talking about
Something
projecting?
Stephen Covey said about your day.
Uh,
Ah, where's the book? Anyways, that's my take. Mike, you got anything you want to throw into that while I'm peeking for the book?
yeah, I was actually trying to find that exact quote, but I, for me, um, there's a when I hear that question, how do I minimize regrets? I'm a even though I'm not like an overtly like outgoing sort of energetic sort of person, I am a risk taker, and in a lot of ways, and I've actually, we've my wife and I have had people tell us, man, we could do stuff like you do. You do these things, and whether it's we used to travel even before we were involved in a lot of ministry stuff, and what happened was when opportunities would present themselves, we would figure out a way to take advantage of opportunities. If it was, like a life event where we were able to do it, we just figure out a way to make it happen, and without fear sort of jump in and do it. And I remember a lot of friends and close people that were close to us would say, man, I wish we could do stuff like that." And I remember thinking, you can.
Yeah, that's
Why don't you? But a lot of people are locked up with fear, and they're just like, I just don't want to take the risk. I don't want to. There's What happens if I do this, and there's so many things that, and it's just like, I'm a risk taker. I'm like, well, let's just do it, and we'll figure it out as we go. Part of that's, self confidence, and some of it's being a risk taker. But if there when opportunities present themselves, especially, I look at it and evaluate and say, is this an opportunity that I'm going to see again soon? Yes or no? And if no, then I need to closely examine it and say, maybe I need to take advantage of this opportunity because it may only come along once or twice.
Mike, that actually fires me up what you just said. Because I believe that. And I live that way and I teach my son to live that way. No regrets, man. Go for it. What do you got to lose? I was talking to a bunch of teenagers on this cruise. They all came and sat around me. I connected with them. I said, guys, I need you to live fearless. I mean, I went into like full blown motivation mode with them. I'm like, you're young. You can do anything, anything. You literally have almost nothing to lose. So live more fearless,
Right.
take more shots, try more things, fearing nothing. We almost all got to get to this place where we don't, the worst case scenario, unless it's like death, we should try it. We should go for it. I think way too many people play it way too safe, and that's why they live a mundane, average life, in my opinion. So thanks for the
Yeah.
inspiration, Mike. I love this quote, David. Literally, I give this quote to my son all the time. All the time. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. He had this really beautiful little girl that he had a crush on at camp, and I was like, well, did you talk to her? He said, well, I was going to, but her friends were around. I'm like, no, 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 no. Next time, my friend, I said, you walk right up to her and introduce yourself because girls like confidence. And I said, if you got the swag to go up and introduce yourself in front of her friends, you got a shot. And I said, Caleb, let me tell you something. Rejection is a myth. The worst thing she could do is say no. What do you lose? You don't have her in the first place, right? I mean, I know it's kid stuff, but I'm preparing them for later in life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you miss 100% shots you don't take, so take a shot at it. You're gonna, if you don't shoot, you
Yeah.
missed, right? If you don't try, you've missed. So why not try?
Yeah, and that's in no way that's not advocating recklessness, right? I mean, you don't like take the rebound under the basket and heave it from full court. That doesn't make any sense. But, when you have a shot,
My good analogy.
you take
It's
it.
just funny to hear me. It's like you hearing me give a hunting analogy. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm
I just threw down a basketball
you
analogy.
throwing out some sports stuff on me, it just caught me off guard, man. Feel like me talking about rifles and you know bow and arrows and fishing tackle. That was just cool, bro. You made my day. I got a kick out of
Uh,
that.
I'm, I'm sorry. I'll try to keep in my genre.
Stay in your lane, baby, because you made me laugh. Bust out a good,
Hey,
but it was a good analogy, and you're right. I don't believe, in fact, even though we're both risk takers, one thing people will say about both of us that I know is, and this is what all true risk takers are, do what you call calculated risk. Um, I
right.
would never just do something reckless that I wouldn't run through Mike or those that are close to me. So it's not something I'm just gonna say, well, I don't care, I'm just gonna try it. No, you gotta think things through. You really do. Try it, yes, but think it through first. You know.
Rebounds basketball, right?
Yeah, dude, that
No, I'm
just
kidding.
got me, man.
Joking.
I'm like when this show's over, I'm gonna laugh about that, man. Just I don't know, you were in it. I mean, you busted out a basketball analogy on me, my friend.
And I'm from Southern Iowa, where we were all wrestlers. So just the losers played basketball where I grew up.
I'm not even gonna say what we thought of the wrestlers.
It's a regional thing, man. So, hey, I got another question. We got like 2.5 minutes. Um, let's see if you can answer this one in 2.5 minutes.
I,
If someone's life is out of control,
I,
huh,
I'm gonna show try.
and disorganized, say someone's life is out of control, disorganized, they're way behind on everything. Uh, what are some ways they can start to pull that together?
Well, I mean, the old saying, if you're in a hole, stop digging. That's first. I mean, you can't let it go. I know a lot of people, they allow discouragement to come in and settle in at this time, and you can't. If you're overweight, if you're broke, if you're in debt, that's why Dave Ramsey says if you're in debt, cut up the credit cards. So you would think, no, I need this because just in case, because I don't have any. No, 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 no. Cut the credit cards. So, if your house is a mess, don't keep, if the dishes are piled up, don't put more dirty dishes in them. Sooner or later, you've got to just stop. You got to stop the bleeding, and you got to say, okay, enough's enough. I got to pull my life together here. Can't allow myself to stay in this slump. So, obviously, Mike, it depends on how out of control someone's life is. It's going to take time and patience, and it's going to take a daily plan. It's going to take a daily process. Sometimes, though, like we've always taught, like what Tony Robbins teaches, sometimes you need freak mode, massive action. I mean, insane.
Hmm.
Like not sleep for 3 days until it's done. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just depends. The best way to live life is daily habits, daily actions that will compound throughout your year. But if you've slipped, you're in the hole, you're disorganized, your life's out of control, you got to go into freak mode and you've got to stop the nonsense. You've got to stop the bad habits. You've got to stop the carelessness, the being disorganized, and you got to say, okay, no more. Sometimes you got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Sometimes you just got to say,
Yeah,
okay, enough is enough. No more. How'd I do?
it's good. Actually makes me think that you're talking about stopping the bleeding, and it makes me think of a triage situation where you're sort of evaluating, where's most of the bleeding coming from, what's the worst part of it, and you can sort of attack that first and then move on to the next. If your life's out of control, it could be finances, schedule, health, and relationships all at the same time, and you got to look at it and say, okay, what's causing me the most stress, what is the worst of these situations, focus on that till you sort of, it's a balance thing. You got to keep all the plates spinning, get that down a little bit, and then work on the next area. So
No, I believe that, Mike, and that's a very good point. So, in your opinion, we got like a minute left. In your opinion, let's just say someone's schedule, because we both have been there. When your schedule is just out of control, you barely have time to even eat, literally. And I'm not talking because you're a time waster. I'm talking because you literally, even though you're that focused, it's still that out of control. What do you do to get it together, man?
well, what you said, stop digging, is absolutely the key. uh, Find things that you can eliminate, basically. What can you eliminate from your life? Time wasters, things that, well, here's a huge thing, and this is something that I really feel like God spoke to me over the weekend, is that there are things that I'm doing that there are other people that can do that.
Ooh,
And those things I need to give to people who can do them.
ooh.
And I need to focus on the things that only I can do
Yeah, bro, that's really good.
personally.
Most people don't have the maturity. Their ego won't let them do that. That's the problem. And I would throw this
Mhm.
in there real quick. One of the things that I used to struggle with my calendar is now I've gone to the opposite. Like it's frustrating for people to try to schedule me for something like a speaking engagement, because I literally almost take a week and almost sometimes 2 weeks to thoroughly think it through. Because I used to get myself in a lot of trouble because someone would text me or call me, "Can you come on this date?" And I'd say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I'll do that." The date would be open, right? But I wouldn't really think through everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so because of that, I get in a
Yeah.
lot of trouble and I started living with a lot of regrets. I got rid of being in control of my life and I gave my life in control to others. I think that's very important that you don't give control of your life to other people. You've got to maintain control of your life by having boundaries, thinking things through, looking at the whole big picture. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's the good way to do it, my friend. Jason said try a
One,
month. All right, Jay, I feel you. I feel you, my friend. I'm coming back to you.
a quick thought on that same topic is that one of the mistakes that I've made is scheduling things back to back. And calendars are deceptive, especially you're using Google Calendar, whatever you think, oh, well, here's a time slot. And you forget about buffers in between things. And it's a mistake to schedule things back to back. Either I'm going on a trip and then I'll schedule something the next day, or even, I have a meeting from 9 to 11 and then I'll schedule something else right at 11 to 12.
Mike, and I agree.
It
For
doesn't always
example,
work.
like you made a good point. Um, so like in St. Petersburg, we have a downtown area that's just insane, amazing, and they do a lot of events. And one of them that they do that I love is the Blues Fest. It's just a fun vibe. It's all blues music, which I love, and so my calendar may show that Sunday may be free, but I might be forfeiting the Blues Fest, my friend. So yeah, that's why you got to look at everything besides just, is this date open? What's next to that date? What's 2 days after this date? Are you going to be able to really rest like you should to recover? Hey, we could talk a lot about schedule
Yeah.
mistakes, couldn't we, Mike?
Yeah. Made plenty. But we're 4.5 minutes over.
We're sleeping on the floor tonight.
Yeah. So I do use, I'm not, I advocate Google Calendar. I think it's a great tool, but I'm just saying that when you're looking at it, it just feels like, oh, I can fit this in. Be careful with that. So, and I think we can get to Jason's other question tomorrow.
Lewis?
He's talking about ministering to He's talking about ministering to alcoholic indigenous tribes.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about that tomorrow.
Spirituality tomorrow. Okay, hey, it was great. We love you guys. Go get them. Rock the world, change the world, have fun, enjoy life, let go of stuff. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Remember at 9 a.m., 9 a.m. EST for Fuel for Success. Hey, by the way, this link you can give to anybody and they can watch today's show. You can put it on your social media, and I'm asking you to, your Twitter, your Facebook, text some friends of yours, text your Aunt Beth, and say, hey, Aunt Beth, check out this link. This is a show I watch every day. It encourages me. You know what I'm saying? All right, we love you. Mike, I used Aunt Beth because I've overused Aunt Susie. For some reason, I've used Aunt Susie for years. I'm moving to Aunt Beth now.
Good. All right. Love you all. God bless. Have an awesome day.